Hello, my name is Douglas J. Simpson. I'm here to sell my book, Dewey and the Art of Teaching, second edition. So I bought this 10-minute slot of time on the air to try to sell it to you. Some of you might be familiar with said book. However, you might realize this is the second edition, which means we've of course added stuff on. With this current edition, we exclusively added one chapter, which you will not find in the first edition at all. I have stumbled upon this new thought in the education field called critical pedagogy. And in this field, it is generally based around honoring the student's world, which I thought, through looking at Dewey's old texts, there are a lot of things in common. So, there are multiple chapters in this book, each one resembling the teacher in different position, such as the artist, the lover, the wise mother, the navigator, the gardener, the educational pioneer, the servant, the social engineer, the composer, the wise physician, the builder, the leader, the classroom teacher, and finally, added in this edition, the teacher as a teacher of the critical pedagogy model. So, let me give you a brief little understanding of what said chapter is about. Now, we know that Dewey already says that teachers should love contact with the young, something that critical pedagogy, the model, is very, very adamant about having. Interaction with students is pretty much exactly what critical pedagogy is about. The entire model is based around honoring their world and taking their interactions and experiences and applying them to the real world so the student actually learns something, not memorizing names and history, which Dewey says memorizing a name is useless. However, if they memorize something that is going to help them in their life somehow elsewhere in the future, that is very useful and they'll actually learn from it. One of Dewey's statements is, the unending goal of education is growth. Indeed, education is seen as growth, and growth is seen as education. Through our current education system, what it seems, education is just something held in the school, which Dewey states also, later on in his book, that education, if secluded to a classroom, then both education and civilization are destined to be destroyed. So, what this is saying is that the way we teach should not be limited just to what we're teaching in the classroom. What needs to happen is experiences have to happen in the classroom, which Dewey states that Dewey believes that the interaction of the student with her environment is not only important, but essential. Even though they are in the classroom, there's no reason for them to be stuck in there. There's all these different things that a teacher can bring into the picture that'll help students learn and not be stuck in the same little spot. What happens is, when students get bored learning one thing that they don't see working for them, they're going to shut down and they're not going to learn anything for the class. I know in the past, when I had teachers, whenever I got bored, the entire class just became nothing to me. There was nothing worthwhile. Okay, so, another point which Dewey says, which is very important, is schools ought to pay more attention to the formal curriculum, to the great waves of immigration into the country, make each student aware of the rich breadth of the nation's composition, and help each person realize that the peculiarity of nationalism is its internationalism. What he's saying there is the fact that there are so many different ethnic, cultural differences in the United States, but what schools are catering to right now is one type. Now, in the south of the United States, there's a lot of immigrants that speak only Spanish, yet we're still speaking English in our classrooms. That is incredibly wrong. What they should be doing is integrating a bilingual program. However, they don't want to. So, what he's saying is, schools in general, if they are located in an area where there are many different cultures, they should find teachers that are going to be able to cater to these different cultures, rather than ignore them and hope that it works out. Another quote from Dewey: "We operate on the false assumption about students having experiences in classrooms. In reality, our schools are designed to exclude experiences. If so, no wonder why schooling is neither enjoyable nor effective, much less aesthetically fulfilling. This is very true. As I said previously, the entire point of teaching is giving a student an experience. If they don't have an experience, they're not going to remember anything. They'll remember it until the test day, but then it'll instantaneously go away. Critical pedagogy uses the same method. It tries to give a student an experience that they will remember, that'll mean something for them in their life. And through doing this, they will remember it for their entire life, even if it's not the exact date that the person was born, but it'll mean something to them. That's what we're trying to do here. So, the complexities of a student's culture, education, and impulses, therefore, help create a unique mind that we need to understand as we guide each student. This fuels the previous argument that schools are not catering to the vast ethnic and cultural differences. In critical pedagogy, a teacher tries to do this. A teacher will open-mindedly, if they're dealing with a subject on Native Americans, they'll ask if anyone's Native American and ask if the child that is Native American can help them in the lesson. This is very crucial to keeping kids involved and making them feel like they're part of their world. Dewey says these following things what a teacher should be, and it links very closely next to critical pedagogy. So, I will say them right now. A teacher should be concerned with the student's personality development. A critical pedagogy teacher is always interested in how a student is doing inside and outside of the classroom. A teacher should be prepared to teach more than one subject. When you're teaching something that's going to mean something outside of the classroom, you have to be ready to teach more than one subject. A teacher should be characterized by building a curriculum that emerges from her prior studies and growing awareness of community life. This fuels the past argument about the schools not worrying about the different communities, cultures, and ethnic groups in the schools. A teacher should be able to make decisions in the light of the student's past and present life, not just in terms of present experiences and interests. This is very important. If a kid was grown up in the ghetto, for example, they're going to have different life experiences than someone who was raised in a very, very rich community. We have to cater the lesson not to just one student, but multiple different types of life. And through doing this, every student's going to get the same education, and every student will learn just as well as the other one. And finally, a teacher should offer insight into a full range of human experiences in the classroom, not just one subject. If a student goes to a classroom expecting to learn about history, and just history, they're not going to be that interested when Eminem is releasing a new album, for example. But if the teacher can somehow take the lesson that they're trying to teach and put it into the student's world, something that they're interested in, the student will listen and they'll absorb every little piece of information they have. Something that I thought was very interesting, Dewey said, that fuels this very argument. He said, "Ideas lack energy if they are devoid of human and social issues." That is exactly what I was just talking about. If something that you're teaching a student does not have anything to do with their world, they will not care. It has nothing to do with them. Why would you? That Dewey suggests when we disagree to solve a problem, we think that we're always right, of course. So we may find it easy to stick to our current opinions, look for ways to support our ideas rather than consider the merits of arguments of others, select the point of view in which appeals to us, cling to a single idea or variable. Okay? Now, that's what we want to do. But that's not what we should do as good teachers. What we should do is back away from the fixed meaning of terms we use, examine issues through the lens of others. This is very important. If we have our own thoughts and never look through other people's lenses, we're never going to be able to teach students because they're never going to be able to respect you. Set aside our present ideas as we study issues and reconsider the facts we believe true. Just because you think something's true does not mean it's true to the students. You always have to be thinking about what the students believe in and how they were raised. So, that's just a little bit of my book. You should pick it up if you have read it before. This entire new chapter is filled